Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Welcome to another exciting episode of Frail Conversations. Now let me stop bullshit. Yeah, welcome to another exciting episode of Frail Conversations. And today, as you're seeing from the title, we're going to be talking about leadership. I don't think I've ever had a conversation on leadership, but I guess this conversation kind of flows somehow. I'm going to make it flow from the last couple episodes, but um, yeah, when we consider, I just been looking at a lot of the shit that's been going on lately, and hearing the conversations of women, I want a man who's gonna lead, and men talking about women won't let men lead, or whatever the case may be, and blah blah blah. I feel it suffices to have a conversation on leadership. I don't, like I said, I don't really think I've ever really done one on leadership. If I have, then this is gonna be a part 2, and it's gonna be a remix to it. Um, but when we consider leadership, and this is for the brothers, bruh, strictly for the brothers. I want to talk about this for real, because sometimes we get wrapped up in being in the front, or we let our status get in the way of whatever, and we don't understand what leadership really is. You know what I mean? And this is, not to say, oh, because I'm a leader, no shit like that. Nah, I don't consider myself a leader. I let whoever calls me a leader call me a leader, but I understand leadership qualities. I've always had leadership skills. I've always been a motherfucker that people would rely on, count on, and other shit like that. But when it comes to truly understanding leadership, there's a lot of lines that get blurred. You feel what I'm saying? Such things as people think as a leader, you're supposed to be dependent on rather than being dependable, or you're supposed to be, a tyrant as opposed to, a true leader. You feel what I'm saying? Like what you say goes, and you're supposed to have all the answers and shit like that. Mm-mm. A leader is one who can evaluate the totality of an experience, uh, elicit the appropriate instructions to continue to make the experience work fruitfully, and um, just overall be in a position where they could bring the best out of the entire situation. Now, by that, leadership is the capacity to travel. No matter what medium you're choosing to use, that's what the ship is. The capacity to travel in accordance with your capabilities and abilities to bring the best out of a situation. You feel what I'm saying? That's leadership skills. Leadership ain't always good. Leadership ain't always bad. You feel what I'm saying? But true leadership will always, always, always draw the best out of something. If the best does not come out of it, that's not true leadership. That's a motherfucker in the front. You feel what I'm saying? Or that's supervision, or that's management, but it's not leadership, right? When you are in a space where what you do, good, bad, or ugly, can bring the best out of a situation and allow it to work in the proper favor, you are walking into the space of a leader. Now, notice that I said good, bad, or ugly, because sometimes leaders have to do bad things. Leaders have to do bad things, especially in context with other situations. But sometimes leaders have to do bad things, and sometimes leaders have to do good things. But you have to do things that are going to, you have to do things that are going to arrive to the greater benefit. You feel what I'm saying? Leadership is about invoking benefit out of a circumstance. You feel what I'm saying? If you cannot bring the benefit out of a circumstance, you're not truly a leader. Now, how does this apply to Frail Conversations? Because, men, I need a man who's going to lead. They keep begging for us to be men who are going to lead. There's levels to what it is, because a lot of them don't want us to lead. They want us in the front. Because again, when you are moving towards the benefit of a circumstance and a situation and a collective, you have to do certain things. So there's levels of leadership, right? I mentioned in Frail 2 about power and strength. Power is the ability to define phenomena as it and make it act in a desired way. Shout out to, Uncle Huey. And then in that, I define strength as the ability to oppose resistance until either the resistance stops or neutrality is met. I ain't say it quite like that in the book, but that's the gist of what it is. So when you're truly a leader, you have to embody strength. You can't embody just power. This is why I have a jam session. I don't know if I'm gonna re-record it, but it's old. It's on my YouTube. I was saying these leaders got power, but they all lack strength. They lack the fortitude to actually continue forward, which means if they lack strength, they also lack leadership. You feel what I'm saying? So as a man, if you're going into a relationship and she wants you to lead and she's not allowing you to use your leadership, allowing you to use the strength and allowing you to move towards the benefit of the situation, not her, but the situation that y'all are involved in, then you're going to have some deficits, because then you're going to go into the space of she's not going to find you dependable. She's going to be dependent on you. You feel what I'm saying? And then that's when it comes into a power struggle, because she's trying to dictate some shit when she needs to be having the best drawn out of her. And that's the thing, because a lot of these women are in these spaces where they're like, I'm the prize, I'm the one, I'm the who you should be going for. They don't want the best brought out of them because they think they're already at their best. And as a leader, you have to understand, when you have that person in your team, how do you make them function according to the progress of the the team, I guess, the crew, whatever. But I'm gonna take it, but I don't want to flow into it. I'm trying to hold back so I don't flow straight into this. But before we dive heavy into it, be sure to follow me on Instagram _just_scene_. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who to all those who tip and donate to this podcast, you're greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not the episode, but the podcast itself. Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And you know the vibes. That's that for this, and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into So Frail Conversations, leadership. And don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Scene about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right. Welcome back. And without further ado, we're going to dive straight heavy into this motherfucker. So yeah, when we talk about leadership, and this is not me, you feel me? Because I know the sister snuck in this motherfucker, but this is not me saying that, women ain't shit. Fuck them. They won't do. No. I'm going to tell you a lot of the situation that it's a programming. You feel me? We're dealing with women who want men to lead, but don't want to allow the strength of leadership to be used in their dynamics. You feel what I'm saying? Because true leadership brings the best out of a person, good, bad, or ugly. Now, a lot of this I'm going to be speaking on experience, nothing from a negative experience, like, oh, that bitch won't shit. But in the context of being able to understand that when we live in a space, right? Women want men who can lead, but they also think all men are incompetent. Sit with that. I know we're kicking it off early. Women want men who can lead, but women also feel all men are incompetent. Now, here's why that's crazy. Because it's like your perception of competency towards men is reflective of your level of competency. You see what I'm saying? If they feel all men are incompetent, that means it's competent relative to their competency level. You see what I'm saying? Like, fuck with me for a second, and that creates a different that creates a whole different problem within the context of leadership, because now when a man has to come in and lead, it's the preset notion is he's already beneath me. Mentally, he's already beneath me. And I know that is the case. I mean, hell, they've been telling women for years, you're more mature than men. Women are smarter than men. Women are more mature than men. And yet, And yet somehow we keep leading y'all the fuck astray. Yet somehow we keep whooping y'all ass in the mental game. Somehow y'all are the ones having to recover from us from our quote unquote mind games. But y'all are the smarter ones. But it goes deeper because when we look at the competency level, you know, they gauge your competency level as a human based off your skill or status level as a person. I was watching, what was it? uh, YouTube or Real or some shit. But this lady, she was like, "Yeah, I got a PhD. I got this, that, and the third." And she was saying that, and there was this guy who was just a high school graduate, and he was a farmer or whatever the case may be. And they was like, "I want you to see who has the highest IQ." She's like, "Well, I clearly have the highest because of my degree." And blah 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 blah. And the guy was like, "All right." When they actually ranked the IQ, she was the lowest. She was the lowest, and it was she was highly educated. Now, I'm using this because this is what we have to deal with as men when we're approaching leadership. We're approaching educated women, educated humans as a whole, but we're approaching educated women in that regard who automatically deem us as incompetent, not realizing that you're educated within a major, specific vein of life, and you're demanding competency out of a man to know everything of life. As men, when we're walking into a space of leadership, when we're walking into a space to actually lead a woman, we cannot shortchange and only know one thing. Now, I'm going to tell you from experience, it gets intimidating when you can truly lead a woman. Not for you, for them. They talk like they want it. I want a man who can lead until the levels of leadership actually come into play. This is how I've observed that women don't really want a man who can lead because leadership is going to elucidate change. It's going to elucidate betterment. This is why with love comes correction. But when you're truly leading somebody and you're leading with love, they're supposed to get better. Now, a lot of people don't want to change because they think they are who they are. Now, when you're actually leading a woman and you're teaching her, you're guiding her, you're showing her new things in life, she's either supposed to get inspired. She's either going to get inspired or intimidated. I would ideally hope that she becomes inspired. But a lot of times it becomes intimidation. That intimidation is projected a different way, as if you're trying to tell me what to do. Because now, what level of energy does leadership come from? When you're used to relationships, we have fraternal energy, we have spousal energy, and we have paternal energy. When we're looking at how relationships are initiated, it's mainly through fraternal and sororal energy. That's how they're initiated, not how they're grown and not how they're maintained. They're initiated through fraternal energy. They're maintained through spousal energy, and they're developed through paternal energy, to paternal and maternal energy. Motherfuckers don't want to get to the development and maintenance part. They want to build the whole motherfucker and keep it continually going off the playful shit, off the initiatory shit. You dig what I'm saying? So when you're coming into a space where you're trying to lead a woman, it's going to come off fatherly. You feel me? Now, when you have a reality where women view men as incompetent. Now, this isn't just, again, back to the, we're smarter than men. No, this is the programming. This is the program. Look at almost 80%, 80 to 90% of all TV dads are incompetent. 80 to 90% of TV dads are stupid as fuck. And it's the woman who's leading the family or whatever the case may be. Look at any representation of a father figure on any show on TV. That's not an accident. That is not an accident. That is designed to make sure men cannot be men the right way. Like, sit with some of your favorite shows that you watched that had a father, like, Married with Children, Al Bundy, uh, Family Matters. He was all right, but Harriet still ran the house. Everybody Hates Chris. Compare Julius. Like, look at how the man is always depicted. You feel me? He has some kind of misstep, and then they teach you and they program you. For every great man, there's an even greater woman beside him. For every this, that, and the third, it's like there should not be any different dynamics of greatness within an equal union. You feel what I'm saying? You can't in one birth want to be equally yoked with a motherfucker and then be the greater part. You feel what I'm saying? But that's the thing. Because of the competence, women pride themselves on being the greater part in another person's. They being a greater part to a whole. You cannot be the greater part to a whole if we're supposed to be equally yoked. Nigga, we 50-50. But this is also why it goes into I'm not going 50-50. A man needs to go whole because they're basing it off the competence of themselves and the incompetence of men, which goes into what I was saying. Women are not programmed and not taught to actually respond and reciprocate with men. They're taught to let that man meet expectations and find out if he's competent enough to be rewarded. And if he is, you reward him with what? Some motherfucking pussy. Not a better attitude, not a change in character, not a development of self, but some pussy. Yeah, we getting deep today. Because some of y'all, the reason why that is the case, because all y'all require is some pussy. That's it. So you're not leading the woman into betterment. You're leading her into opening her legs up. I get it. Sometimes we play I'm gonna be the gentleman. I'm a court. I'm gonna do this, that, and the third. But eventually, it leads to it leads to pussy. Does she grow? Does she grow? Have you ever catalyzed anything positive? If that's not what happened, then something's off. Your relationship wasn't what it was supposed to be, and you were not leading her. You were in the front, and that's where we get a lot. That's what we fuck up with a lot. You feel me? We think standing in the front is leadership. Leaders lead from behind. Nobody wants to talk about that. Not only from behind, they can lead from any position that they stand because they're leaders. When somebody specifically has to be in the front, something's off. You feel me? Something's off. But sticking to the thing. So when we consider how the relationship template is built and how it's being led, you feel me, being orchestrated, they're programming us to be incompetent men when we get older. Like a lot of people say that, it's a red flag for men to be single. It's like every person that I know that was single for a long time who was a player. I don't want to be a player no more. But everybody I know who was a player who was like this, we've had higher levels of intellect. Like the person who won't settle down doesn't settle down because he needs to. You feel what I'm saying? Now, we have all over social media, women don't like this, women don't, because men are begging for them to see the competency. When I talked about the Pookies and the Ray Rays episode and shit, like they had a level of competency that they didn't have to prove. You can call them hood, you can call them ratchet, you can call them ghetto, you can call them whatever the fuck you wanted to call them. But they was pulling all of the girls and having all of the girls and all of the women simply for that reason. But what we focus on is the wrong shit. Because when it ties into leadership, we don't take into consideration that are you able and capable? Do you have the resources to make a situation better? On a basic level, because we're just focused on like everybody is, make her feel good. You have to, your relationships will never be healthy if you keep focusing on trying to make a woman feel good when women based off feelings and emotions. Nigga. How the fuck you gonna make her feel good? She can't even make herself feel good. You see what I'm saying? The ultimate reality is through leadership is to make her better. Now, let me rewind that. I'm not saying go into a relationship with the intention of I'm going to make this woman better, but go into the relationship that our encounter should lead to betterment for the both of us. You dig what I'm saying? It shouldn't be one-sided. It shouldn't be just you pouring into a motherfucker, but with leadership, you know how to bring out the best of a person and in a way, allow that benefit that you bring, allow the best that you bring out of a person to be a benefit to you, whether they can know it or not. You see what I'm saying? That's true leadership because I have to look at the overall goal of the team. Now, when you get motherfuckers who you bring the best out of, but they still want to sit on the sidelines and not contribute, let them go. We're in a space right now where a lot of women are, dating is so this, that, and the third. I'm going to tell you why dating sucks, because women suck in regards to dating. I thought y'all was just going to say women suck. No, women suck in regards to dating. You know why? Because the dating process is about us men convincing you, women, that you like us. For women, if you look at it, you asked me on a date, you chose me, like you did this and the third, like, so you have to prove to me that you're this, that, and the third. All right, cool. So they don't reciprocate anything. Women don't start exhibiting the very feelings. The reason why the relationship dynamic is always lopsided is, one, because we lack leadership, for one, and we don't know how to bring back and say, hey, look, you got to give me something back. And two, we go into the relationship already farther into it than women are. As men, we don't really talk about that much. You feel what I'm saying? By the time we exchange our love yous, we love the woman more than she loves us, because we have been performing, we have been giving and doing for her without reciprocity, because it goes back into the meet the expectations and then be rewarded. And we're now at a point where women's expectations are ridiculously high and the rewards are rather shallow. You see what I'm saying? But that comes into the leadership that we don't have, because that's where your boundaries and your shit comes in, where you're like, again, I'm dependable. This is why I mentioned at the beginning. I'm dependable, but I'm not dependent. Like, you can depend on me, but you can't be dependent of me. They teach us as men to go into a relationship to be dependent on, not to be dependable. A leader cannot be dependent on. A leader cannot be depended on. He has to be dependable. You feel what I'm saying? When your leadership comes in, your leadership qualities are about you being dependable. It's because when the time comes, I can count on you to elucidate the necessary benefit. Whether that be you actually putting your hands in to the situation, or you knowing how to dictate some shit to make the situation move in a beneficial way. But because of the way in which we have been trained, we go into it to be dependent on. She calls me, fix the problem. Call me, fix the problem. No, no, no. Let's arrive at a solution. That's something that we don't really understand as men a lot of times. Like, yes, we're problem solvers, but we don't solve the problems. And I know that sounds contradictory, but here's what I mean when I break it down. We have the faculty to arrive at solutions, but it's not on us to do the solution, to create the solution, unless it's our problem. You see what I'm saying? This is why we in the situations where it's like, oftentimes we hear women say, sometimes I don't want a solution. I just want to vent. That's a problem, homie. That's a problem. You hear it all the time. I'm like, yo, I be telling women this all the time. You got to go talk to your girls, yo. Don't come to me with a problem if you don't want to solve it. If you just want to sit in the problem and acknowledge that it's a problem, like, we already know it's a problem. That's why your feelings are what they are. So when you come and I just want to vent, don't come vent to me. Now, my brothers, I need y'all to hear me, and I need y'all to listen. I just hear, but listen, understand what it is that I'm saying to you. When a woman just wants to vent and doesn't want to solve the problem, she does not want to be led. No matter what the dynamic is, if a woman just wants to vent and talk about the problem without formulating a solution or adhering to the solution that you're presenting, she does not want to be led. She is incapable of being led. Regardless of what she keeps saying on paper, she just wants a motherfucker in the front that does all of the work. That's not a leader. That is a slave. But we're not going to talk about that, because women say, well, men just want, yes, we all just want a slave. Duh, the fuck? That's like, stop playing this against that and say, yo, this is what it is. Women want slaves in relationships. Men want slaves in relationships. We just utilize the slaves differently. The way in which a man is a slave to a woman is praised by society. But the way in which a woman is a slave to a man is shunned. But we're both slaves, motherfucker. That's the relationship dynamic. It's built off slavery. Where the fuck like, what kind of society you think we're in, motherfucker? One that has an imbalanced power structure, the tyrant and the slave in every dynamic. Somebody's going to be the tyrant and somebody's going to be the slave. I need a woman who's going to cook, clean, and do this, that, and the third. I need a man who's going to protect and provide. Some women want the man who protects and provides so they can go sick them on motherfuckers. We don't even be looking at it like that. There's situations where, now this isn't all of the case, but I know a lot of situations where motherfuckers that got shot, motherfuckers that got jumped, motherfuckers that got beat up because a woman sicked her man or her brothers or whoever on another nigga. Yeah, it seems cool at first when you're talking about protection and provision and all of that shit. And I want a man like you got to be careful because there's women that you'll fight for who will send you to fight. You feel what I'm saying? You'll know the difference and you can learn the difference and observe the difference by how they allow you to treat other women. That's a woman who wants you to be her slave or her puppet, however you want to choose to look at it. She doesn't want your leadership. When you cannot provide for other women or you cannot be a man for other women, there's a problem. When she wants it to, you see what I'm saying? And that is a high percentage of women. You cannot even be a good person to another woman if you're in a relationship with a woman like that. So it goes back into the relationship dynamic. We're not meant to be equally yoked. We're meant to have a power struggle between somebody wanting the whip and somebody wanting to be the slave and somebody wanting to be the master. Why do y'all think women are submissive? We can put all the semantics and the euphemisms all day long, and it's like, yo, women are the slaves because now you have to look at the overall picture of, yeah, because these men are in this dynamic. This is what I be talking about all through So Frail, bro. So when it comes into our relationships, she doesn't want you to be the slave to other men, but at the same time, she doesn't want to be the slave to you. And we could, like I said, we could paint the words all we want to, because when we look at slavery, they have created such an extreme level of slavery of what they did to us as black people that when you talk about slave, you don't compare it to that. Well, I'm not beating her. Well, I'm not beating them. Well, I'm not this, that, and the third. No, but you're sicking them on people. My man, air it out in this motherfucker. You have women that don't give a fuck if you risk your freedom to quote unquote protect them, as opposed to them not being in situations they need protection from. Everybody got their justifications. We got our justifications. Women got their justifications too. You see what I'm saying? Oh, she can wear what she want to wear. It's this, that, and the third. When you wearing what you want to wear in a society in which men don't even function properly, and you know men don't function properly, why would you even run that risk? That's stupid as fuck. That's a woman who can't be led. When you knowingly are aware that certain things now, I get it. Well, women can wear what they, yes, I'm one of those motherfuckers who talking more like I even got a whole chapter in So Frail 3 where I'm talking about rape culture, where I'm talking about the dynamics in the programming that's already within us. So miss me with that bullshit. You're not even gonna come at me and try to say I need to address what the fuck ever. You can suck these hang lows. But when you know that you're in a society that is wired this way, why would you continue to test the waters? Now, I get it. I'm not talking about testing the waters in the sense of, well, you can't control who's going to be here. You know that you don't like to be in the environment that you're going in, yet you keep going to that environment. You have a woman like that cannot be led. I'm gonna use an example from myself because this is a real personal example. This woman that I was involving myself with, we talking, we vibing and shit like that. And she tells me all the time, I don't like going to the club because men be lusting and shit. And it's like, soon as I go in there, like, yo, you ain't shaking your ass and this, that, and the third, all that ass, and you ain't shaking it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just here to have a good time. Why the fuck do you keep going in there? Like, you see what I'm saying? Now, if some shit popped off and you're in a place you don't want to be, you're going to look to me to rectify the situation. You see what I'm saying? You're saying that these men keep lusting over you, saying that these men keep gawking over you in a space that you want to be. And then when I tell you, why do you keep going? Oh, because I want to have fun. So you have fun in places where you know you're in danger. How in the fuck can I lead you? I'm going to say that again, because this is a broader scale, because a lot of women think this way. And this is the shit that we got to prepare for. You feel what I'm saying? You like having fun in places you know are dangerous for you because all your friends are there, because that's what you've been conditioned is a good fucking time. Danger. Now, as a man, I have to make sure that I'm willing to protect you through the danger you put us in. Now I get it. Oh, well, she's not intentionally put. If she's going to a place that she knows is dangerous for her, she is putting us in danger. Simple. If you know you're in a space where you do not want to be, the odds of something you do not want to happen happening increase. It's not hard. It's not fucking hard. But as a man, somehow we have to be the voice of reason for that shit. You see what I'm saying? We have to be the voice of reason for that shit. Because what it boils down to is you're the protector, you're the provider. Doesn't matter if I put myself in danger. Now, when that becomes the case, you know what movie comes to mind? Lion King. Yes, Mufasa was there to protect Simba. Yes, Mufasa whooped the motherfucking hyena's ass. But Simba put himself in danger after being told not to put himself in fucking danger. Now, Simba's a cub. Simba's a child. So that makes sense. But yet you want to convince me it makes sense when a grown-ass adult can do it too. And at this point, I'm not even talking about this particular woman anymore. I'm talking about the general consensus now. Because women continue to do this shit and want us to be the leaders to help them get out of the shit. No, if I tell you, like, I'm not the type of motherfucker to say, hey, yo, you can't go to the club. I don't want you dressing up. I don't want you going to the club. I'm going to say I'm going to say some very smart shit, some very intelligible shit. You're going to go to a place. And they be looking at it like, oh, you so sarcastic. Half the time, I don't even be being sarcastic. You're just not used to hearing intelligent thought. And so when you hear an intelligent thought, you're automatically tied to sarcasm. And I'm not saying all women. And I'm not saying all of the women that I've dealt with. I'm saying in the context of when a woman or sister, little homie, whatever, they ask me for advice and I tell them, why you being sarcastic? There was no sarcasm whatsoever. I was being 100% honest. You feel what I'm saying? You consciously tell me that you don't like going to this particular place. You actively tell me that every time you go there, there's a problem and you don't feel safe and you go any fucking way. Now, when you're in the back of a trunk and you calling me, help me, I don't know where I'm at. I can't, what the fuck you want me to do? Now, so when I tell you, I don't say you can't go to the club, you can't go to this. I'm going to say, make sure that the environments that you are inhabiting are the environments you wish to be. What you trying to say? If you're going to go to a place that you're going to complain about when it's over, or you're going to complain about how this, that, and the third, and how it's always a problem and all of these different, why are you continuing to go there? But yet they teach us that men are the incompetent ones. I know this episode seems real misogynistic, but it'll get to more leadership points. But these are the points that we have to lead through. Because true leadership is not about restrictions or telling her, hey, you can't go. This, that, and the third. It's like, hey, you need to understand the dynamic that you need to understand the circumstances you're putting yourself in. It's not about whether or not you can or can't go. Understand the circumstances you're putting in. And as a leader, as the person you're asking to lead you, why in the fuck won't you listen when I tell you? Because it goes into, oh, you're trying to control me. So again, they don't want to be protected and provided for. They don't even want to be led because the leadership requires change. I don't like going, I've dealt with so many women who are club goers, I don't know what the fuck the reason was. Because when I actually talk to them, I like doing things like going to art museums and walking on beaches and stuff like that. Why the fuck don't you do it? Well, I don't know. I just don't never go. Like, so you be wanting motherfuckers like shit weird, bro. Shit weird. Because now it's like, how do you lead somebody who goes against themselves? Yeah, we cooking. We cooking. How you gonna lead somebody who goes against the very things that they say? I know so many women because it's all over social media. Respect me for me as you're doing disrespectful shit with yourself on social media. You feel me? I just seen this conversation and shit. This woman, she's gonna send me the shit like it's true and shit. She talking about, I said, she was like, do men like BBLs? And I was like, no. She was like, yes, y'all do. How you gonna tell me what we like? That's your problem. Y'all don't listen. You feel what I'm saying? So she like, yes, y'all do. Y'all, we see y'all. No, I said, we like naked women. I mentioned this in the previous episode. We like naked women. And it just so happens that the naked women over social media have BBLs. You see what I mean? Now, on a bigger scale, women, respect us. We're embracing sexuality, but respect us. Okay, cool. Embrace sexuality. There's nothing wrong with embracing sexuality, but y'all gotta stop trying to be a hoe and calling it embracing sexuality. There's a defined delineation, because when you truly embrace sexuality, that means you tap into your creativity. You know how to use your creativity better. Better. You may be dancing and shit, but you're not flaunting it all over social. Y'all want attention. Y'all ain't embracing your sexuality, and then the fact that you're embracing your sexuality to gain attention is a whole different dynamic. It's women saying shit like, yeah, I always wanted to feel sexy and embrace my sexiness and this, that, and the third. And you have to show the world that you claim you don't want lusting over you. How in the fuck can you lead that? Because now we're understanding what leadership is. It's understanding the dynamic of a situation and bringing the best out of it. How can you bring the best out of a situation when the motherfucker is split between their mind? I want to be embraced for the very thing that I know is problematic to me. That's what they saying. I don't want to be lusted over, but I want to be an object of lust. Nigga. And I'm using this extreme so I can get to the point of what we're talking about when it comes to leadership with women. This is a simple concept. And this isn't a concept that you have to go hard to find. It is not a concept that motherfuckers can say, not all women. It's a high majority of y'all motherfuckers. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And as they say, majority fucking rules. If I can go scroll down Instagram right now, I could see y'all had cucumber challenges, y'all had banana challenges, y'all had surround sound challenges, y'all have all of these things, and you say you want a man who's going to see more than that. You're not even showing more than that. You see what I'm saying? That's like going to the ATM and trying to take out $20 and you know you ain't got no money. You feel what I'm saying? Almost exactly like it. And they expect men, that's what we gotta lead, bro. That's what we gotta lead. That's what we have to bring the best out of. And then it makes sense why they say if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best, which means that they're presenting their worst from the start. That's dangerous. That is fucking dangerous, because now it goes back into what I'm saying. By the time we fall in love with each other, men already love women deeper than women love men. But because we don't talk about emotions the way we supposed to talk about them, we don't address that there's a different power, there's a different dynamic in our connections. We don't address that there's a different dynamic in our connections. So what we do is we just act like it's nothing. Oh no, I'm good. Like most dudes love women before the woman loves the man, and the man won't admit it until after the woman says it first. Yeah. Think about your first love, my brothers. Think about the woman that you like. You loved her before she loved you. And they like, well, why do men cheat? Why do men cheat? And I'm gonna tell you why. I always say this all the time. This ain't got nothing to do with leadership, but it fits within this conversation as we're flowing right now. You cheat when you're losing. You cheat when you're losing. If I've been loving you this long and you're just now starting, I can feel that you're just now loving me how I've always been loving you. I don't say shit. We don't say shit. We keep it because I don't want to be soft. I don't want to be this, that, and the third. Or when I tell you that I'm fucking with you heavier than you're fucking with me, it's, oh, you love bombing. They've created so many different defense mechanisms. Now, granted, some of y'all niggas do be love bombing, but the point of it, everybody ain't love bombing. Some people really have put in enough work, and people don't understand the difference between options and decisions. For most men, when we are actually in a monogamous relationship, we've decided on that. It wasn't an option. And even if there was options, you were the option we decided on. But we're in a space where so many women are now basing their realities off options that they choose as opposed to decisions that they make. When you live in a mentality of being submissive, you're not making decisions. You're being decided on, and you're going with that decision. This is why I always say women don't want to be submissive. They want to be unleashed. They want to be free to say, hey, I chose this man too. Hey, this man, I wanted this man too. I even seen conversations with women, especially the popular ones that are all over social media, saying shit like, get you a man who loves you more than you love him. They're telling each other this. So basically settle for the man who loves you above and beyond. You don't even love this nigga back. But men feel that. So it goes back into the cheating. You cheat when you lose. I feel when what I'm putting in ain't working. I feel it. I can't say shit because I feel. And then you go, oh, you tripping, this, that, and the third. I'm gonna get gaslit and all this other shit. We know. We know. But it's because we know that we cheat. Because do it matter? I'm losing in this situation. I love you more than you love me. Now I get it. Same. If he love her, why he gonna go cheat? Same reason why women cheat when they love. I'm not getting what I'm supposed to get because we know that this is a competition. I'm not being fulfilled. But man, we take it on the chin when we're not being fulfilled and say, shut the fuck up. You know why? Because there's always that dynamic of the slave and the master, the father and the daughter. Like that's the relationship is not platonic. Like, I mean, it's not romantic at all. It's not spousal. Regardless of what title you put, it's not spousal. It's designed to be father and daughter in every way, shape, or form. You feel what I'm saying? So this is why it's, oh, she's not getting what she needs from the paternal energy that she wants, that she craves. She can go and step out. But as the man, you're supposed to be more mature enough to tell her that, you know what I'm saying? Or teach her how to give you what she, no, why should I teach another human how to treat another human? Sit with that. That's a part of this leadership shit that we got to deal with as men. We got to teach other humans how to be other humans while hiding the human within us. That's crazy. But again, that's violation of leadership. That's what happens when you don't really understand the capacity of leadership. Leadership is designed to show you how to engage with all the humans and make sure the humans create benefit. So it means from the jump then that, and I use the relationship thing because I had to be dramatic and shit, because it's like we go into relationships not leaders because we're not even leaders of ourselves. We're not leading ourselves. Yeah, homie. The reason why we go through a lot of the shit with women, why we choose the wrong women, why we not picking the women that are beneficial to us, why we have to have the rib, why we have to have the submissive woman, because we're not leaders within ourselves. And we don't admit it enough. We don't discuss it enough. We don't talk about how unsure we really are within ourselves. Not from a disrespectful way. No disrespect. I'm not saying that, but as a man, you have to have some sort of foundational system within yourself before you can feel confident in who you are. In the recent Entrepreneurs episode, I was talking about when I was doing MLMs and shit, and I was talking to one of the guys, and he was like, yo, you speak with so much conviction as if like you're just matter of fact about everything, because I only speak when I have the facts that matter. This is going back in. I'm a born leader. Not just because I'm an Aries, not just because that and the third. You got to know me to know that shit. Beyond this podcast shit, beyond all of this shit in real fucking life, I'm a born leader. I can bring the best out of anything. Not just people, out of fucking life. The phrase you can turn shit to sugar. I am a man. I'll sell you some diarrhea's lemonade. Don't fuck with me. But you learn leadership isn't always what you have. Yes, I just said I was a born leader, but you can be born something and still lose it. It's motherfuckers right now that are born athletes that are atrophied because they're sedentary, because they happen to be in lazy environments. You feel what I'm saying? I had a homeboy. We was young. When I say this nigga was a natural fucking athlete. Not in the sense of like this motherfucker, he'll do like it was at that age, it was envious to watch. You feel me? Cause motherfucker, you 12 years old and you motherfucking already got abs. You got the chest. You got like your whole body is proportionally built, and you don't do shit but joke on niggas. You feel what I'm saying? You don't do shit but joke on niggas. He was one of the fastest runners in the hood. Like you feel me? This nigga was just athletically gifted. It'll be one day we just be chilling and shit. He be like, yo, I think I could do a handstand. Nigga, you can't do no fucking handstand. He'll do a handstand, then do push-ups with it. You fucking show off. But he was naturally gifted with it. But you feel what I'm saying? He didn't play sports. He was a trapper. Like, he didn't think to do shit with it. So you can be born a certain way and it can atrophy. You feel me? I put money on him. My man's could have made it to the league. I know he could have made it to the league. Just off of the way in which his body naturally responded to life. He could have made it to the league, but he didn't. You feel me? And it could have been any league. Football, basketball, soccer, boxing, nigga, like all of it. Like, you feel what I'm saying? It's like, yo, you're not fair, homie. You're not fair. You feel me? But again, you can be born of something and not use it. So leadership skills have to be developed by continually practicing how to bring the benefit out of a situation and do it in a way that serves the whole. See, a lot of times because we in a space where we only looking out for ourselves in life, and this is a part of survival. We only looking at ourselves at, from look out for me. You know what I mean? We don't know how to incorporate everybody else. So if you don't know how to look out for everybody else, you don't know how everybody else can look out for you. And then not knowing how everybody or anybody else can look out for you, you don't know how to elucidate the right responses out of the collective to create benefit for the whole. One of the first times I learned that I knew how to do this was when me and my homie started a gang. Well, that was the second time because, well, I don't even want to talk about gang shit because that's like, you feel me? I already talked about that enough, but fuck it, I already opened the door. So it was like, what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses? And then I learned how to balance that out and create a clique that was, you feel me? It was what it was. And I'm going to end that there. But when you understand true leadership, it's understanding how to elicit and elucidate the best responses out of an entire situation. So when I was speaking about how what we have to walk into as men first is the leadership within ourselves. You see what I'm saying? Your team, your before you can lead anybody else, you have to lead yourself. And now your first team is understanding the balance between your strengths and your weaknesses. See, a lot of us, we shun our weaknesses, not realizing that weaknesses have equal power to our strengths. That's why we fall to them. That's why strengths help us rise, but our weaknesses, we fall to them because our strengths and our weaknesses are equal but opposite in magnitude. You feel me? When I started studying spirituality for real, like when I put religion down and started getting into spirituality, everything drew you back to the same point, the balance between yourself. You feel me? And a lot of times people people mistake balancing for juggling. You see what I'm saying? They be like, I gotta have balance. So you juggle shit. You juggle sides of yourself. You juggle aspects of yourself. No, balance is when everything integrates correctly. That's balance. You feel what I'm saying? I always talk about the story of Heru and Set and how them two was the ego and the self. That's what the story represents, the ego and the self. And it ends with them two not being friends, but becoming allies and working together for the same purpose, right? So within ourselves, we first have to become leaders within ourselves. We literally have to lead ourselves into ourselves. You feel what I'm saying? We have to I'm going to say it better. We have to lead ourselves into leadership. A lot of us, we may play sports and get labeled as the captain of the team because we, been there the longest or whatever the case may be, or, we're the most popular or whatever the case may be, or the team listens to us. You see what I'm saying? Some people don't understand why they're selected as a team captain. And I don't think a lot of coaches, when they select the team captain, they tell the motherfucker why you the captain of the team. You feel what I'm saying? But for a lot of it, it's tenure. For a lot of it, it's, yeah, the team listens to you, but does the team follow you? You see what I'm saying? Some people listen to you because you're popular. Some people listen to you because they want your position. Some people listen to you, but do they listen to you because of what you bring out of them? You feel me? Because it's not until you can bring it out of yourself that you can bring it out of other people, because you got to know what the fuck you're bringing out. You feel what I'm saying? So you have to learn to lead yourself into leadership first. And the first way to do that, first way in which we understand that is by understanding our strengths and our weaknesses. They teach us you weak in this area. You got to it's not just about making your weaknesses strengths. It's about understanding them because they're going to stay there. Like people be thinking when you weak, it's just you weak. No, that's a attribute of who you are. Your weakness is an attribute of who you are. One thing that I used to feel was a weakness for me, because when I started learning the stars and shit, learned that I got a Venus and Pisces and shit. I don't want to be one of these motherfuckers. You know this, that, and third. But no, the energy caters to what I am. Venus and Pisces. My love is Piscean. Pisces. The theme of Pisces is belief, right? You are in. Even the Bible speaks on Jesus being the Pisces, marking the age of Pisces. That's why his thing was on about love and shit. Pisces love with uh uh deep, 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 deep passion. They feel deeply. Now, Venus is the planet of love. That energy is love. So when those two things come together, my love is deeply loving. But equally, my hatred is deeply hating. One thing that I've learned about my motherfucking self, and people will, when he's in, he's in. But when he out, it's a cold day in hell. And I've had women tell me, yo, something wrong with you. You can't just turn. Oh, I was all in. Now I'm all out. There's no, it ain't got nothing to do with being an Aries. It ain't got nothing, has everything to do with the way in which I love. You feel what I'm saying? Because those are balances. That's what I'm saying. Your strengths and your weaknesses are not vices. They're reflections of each other. You see what I'm saying? So I was saying that because one of my weaknesses is love. And I had to understand love to know that love was my weakness because it's also my strength. You feel what I'm saying? Love is my weakness because the fact that love was my weakness before I understood that it was the betterment for correction. You see what I'm saying? When you don't understand a certain concept or certain ideation, it's gonna become your weakness. That's really all weaknesses are. The things we don't understand. Hey, bro, for real though, at some point we gotta stop talking to women about masculinity and start talking to each other about it. And I mean really talk to each other. Not as enablers and co-signers, but as men trying to reach the pinnacle of our essence. And that's what the So Frail series does. So Frail 1 is the definition. So Frail 2 is the acknowledgement. And So Frail 3 is the resolution. If you rock with the So Frail conversations, I can guarantee you will rock with the So Frail series of books. So visit IamJustSeen.com right now so you can add the series to your library. I promise you will never look at masculinity the same again, and you're going to stop wasting your time arguing with women about it. This is a conversation that men need to have between men, and it's time we start having this conversation now. Because we don't understand the way in which it works. That's why we're weak to it. It's simple. It's simple. But as men, we don't go into the world to develop our weaknesses. We try to pretend we're not weak. How can you be a leader if you can't even strengthen your weaknesses? Equally, how can you be a leader if you don't know how to weaken your strengths? And I know, why would I weaken my strengths? Sometimes you can be too strong for a situation. Nobody looks at that part because we don't understand the principles of what it is to be balanced. If my strength is too powerful, if I'm too strong for the situation, why will I exert all my strength? I need to know how to be weak, right? I need to know how to be weak in regards to my strength, just as I need to learn how to be strong in regards to my weakness. Same shit. That battle is the first point in which a man learns how to lead himself into leadership. Because when it's all said and done, what you're doing is you're bringing out the best of you to create a benefit. You can be too strong and it causes detriment. So you have to figure out how being weak in regards to your strength is going to allow the benefit to happen. You feel what I'm saying? Something that I've learned with dealing with women, because women are so easy to teach me because it's reflective. It's not hard. I learn a lot faster about life by dealing with women because they're the counterparts to us, right? So when women say things like, yo, men are condescending, am I really condescending, or am I intellectually strong and I don't know how to be weak with it? Because you don't want a stupid motherfucker. You see what I'm saying? And it comes off condescending because when you're intellectually strong talking to somebody who's intellectually weak, and I'm not saying all women are intellectually weak, I'm saying this in context. That's how the condescending conversation happens. One thing women always say, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. So what I said is completely irrelevant, whether it was right or wrong. How you felt was what's important. So as a leading man, you have to get to a point where you can balance that strength and that weakness. So I can tell you what, and I can tell you, and I can tell you what, and it does not matter how I said it. I don't know how long y'all been following me on social media, some of y'all, but if you've been following me for a long time, a lot of people, I've had dudes come on my page and shit and be like, yo, how come you can talk to women like that? They don't block you or cuss you out. I said, because it's how I say it. But you saying the same shit I say, but I'm not saying the same shit you say. Because I understand the strength of my words. I understand that when I say a certain motherfucking thing, these women are going to react a certain way. I want them to react the right way that's beneficial for us all. The fuck? Now, when these so frail conversations, when I talk shit, I be being dramatic, man. Y'all know I love women, bro. And y'all know how I like the reason why I say because y'all ain't supposed to be here anyway, because a lot of women still listen to so frail conversations. Contrary, you feel me? A lot of women still listen to so frail conversations. And so I don't, but I have to let them know, like, this is our talk right now. Y'all, this isn't catered to y'all, so y'all can play in the back. And if y'all have something to say, then whatever, because this isn't y'all conversation. But at the same time, in the grand scheme of it all, they know me. They know where I'm coming from with that. That's why it's the joke. That's why it's like, y'all ain't supposed to be here any motherfucking way, because they get it. But at the same time, that's why I have the capacity to be able to say what the fuck I want, because I know the how to say. Because I know how to, I can say what the fuck I want because of how the fuck I say it. Because I know how to say it. You see what I'm saying? But these are things that I had to learn first by doing for myself. If you ever heard me say this, I said it before in the podcast when I actually use these words, but I always say, like, don't refer to yourself as my dumb ass and then go on to something else. I learned to stop speaking harsh to myself because that was a part of leadership. You can't speak hard. You can't speak harshly to the people that you're trying to lead. They're not going to listen. They're not going to listen because leadership is about how you can bring the best out of them to benefit everybody. That's what I live on. Like when people ask me like, yo, you a leader of the community and this, that, and the third, where they tell me shit like that. And it's like, why? Because don't label me as the leader of the community because I'm not leaders by their standard. You're not going to have me out in the front taming y'all. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to be the motherfucker that they call on and say, hey, y'all, we need a pipe down. No. Y'all right. We need to figure out how to make this a benefit. I don't give a fuck. See, that's the thing about benefit. It's not good or bad. Somebody's going to get the short end of the stick. It's just the way life is. Now, when it comes to things that are beneficial, something's going to be bad, something's going to be good because it has to balance just a little bit. So if we look at the leaders, this is why I said the leaders got power, but they all lack strength because they're not leaders. They niggas in the front. So when it comes around, it's like, I have the power that they've given me, not the strength that I've created. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference. You have motherfuckers who will follow power. And then you have motherfuckers who will be led by strength. Let me say that again. You have motherfuckers who will follow power. And you have motherfuckers who will be led by strength. And if you're not aware of both of them, you'll call both of them leadership. Following power is not being led by strength. Strength as power is the ability to define phenomena, make it act in a desired way. Strength is the ability to endure resistance, the ability to endure resistance to the resistance stops or neutrality is met. That's strength. This is Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. This is why all of our black leaders are passive, because we gave them the power to make motherfuckers follow them. Malcolm X had the strength to lead people. You see what I'm saying? You can call it semantics, whatever the case may be, but this is why words are specifically needed to be said a certain way. We didn't follow Malcolm X. We were led by him. We were led by his strength. We followed Martin Luther King's power that was given to him by them. Think about why Martin Luther King he was a doctor, Dr. Martin Luther King. Malcolm X changed his last name. He didn't even go by his slave name. He told him, because that's the difference between strength and power. And that is the difference between leadership. Martin Luther King didn't make anybody better. He didn't bring out the best of any situation. So much so, we had the Montgomery bus boycotts. And their focus was just to boycott so they can ride the bus, as opposed to be creating bus lines. I know, sit with that. It's like, yeah, history will have you think that was such a good thing. We went and we was being bit by dogs, attacked and sprayed by water hose just to eat some unseasoned fucking food. Sit with that. Like, nigga, sit with that. Nonviolent, nonviolent. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to do anything. That's not a leader. Because none of that benefited us. None of that benefited us. What Malcolm X did, what Huey Newton did, what Bobby Seale did. If you notice, I call him unks, but Huey Newton, we know Huey Newton as Huey P. Newton. We know Martin Luther King as Dr. Martin Luther King. Both of them had PhDs. Why do we know Huey Newton just as Huey Newton, but we know Dr. Martin Luther King as Dr. Martin Luther King? You don't think that's an accident? Because it's power versus strength. The WIC program that you have right now was the Black Panther food program. You see what I'm saying? Strength versus fucking power. When you are truly a leader, your strength is what leads people. They don't follow your power. I'm saying that to say this. When I had to develop myself as a leader, I was born this motherfucker, but I had to refine this motherfucker because it's like this. In the solitude of itself, you can't tell the difference between a wild God and a beast. I mean, a wild beast and a God, right? Sixes and nines, 666, the mark of the beast, 999, the mark of the divine. If you understand that they're just flipped up expressions of each other, you know what I'm saying? It gives you a better understanding of who you are and what you're really supposed to be in this world. But I ain't going to go into that part because I want to talk about leadership still. When you understand both sides, now y'all are starting to gain understanding of why I talk about the antithesis. You ever notice, I tell y'all, don't follow me. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Go see what I'm saying and then go learn the other side. Go learn both sides because that's what leaders have to do. The truth always sits where opposing sides agree. That's it. It's not that hard. But when you're only given one side and you're saying this side is the right side, that's where you're fucking up. So within developing these things within yourself, you have to decide what your strengths and your weaknesses are, what your powers are within yourself. Because you can't lead no fucking body until you learn to lead yourself. Back to the Dr. Martin Luther King and the Malcolm X example. Malcolm X led himself first before he came out. What did Martin Luther King lead prior? Sit with that. He was a reverend and he was a doctor. They gave him both of the highest statuses in the black community in order to make them follow him, to give the perception of a Messiah. While Malcolm X had tapped into the Messiah within himself. It just so happened that other factors played in, but we're starting to see what those factors are. I talk about this in Soul for 3 about the Messiah energy. You cannot be a leader in any way, shape, or form until you have mastered your Messiah energy. Now, your Messiah energy is your crown consciousness. That is the highest level of awareness that you have within this world. Leading people requires you first to be able to lead yourself, but lead yourself in a way that promotes benefit. Self-sufficiency, self-reliance, self-dependence, like those are things you have to master within yourself before you can give them to anything else or anybody else. So when it comes to our women, and we know that we reached a certain point within ourselves, we have to ask ourselves, does this woman want to be led? I'm in a space right now where because of who I've become and the relationships that I'm with, they become intimidating to women because they're used to coming into relationships dealing with incompetent men. Now, this ain't a shot to say I'm single because this and the third. Nigga, I'm single because I was putting my work in and I owe myself a year of fun. So you feel what I'm saying? I'm chilling, but I am actively looking, but I understand how to make a decision. But I understand how to make a decision with the women that I'm involved with based off who can be led, who can have the best brought out of them. One of the things that I'm seeing right now, it's not that women are afraid. That's why I always say women don't like to be submissive. They like to be unleashed, but because they've never been unleashed and they know the changes that are going to come when they do make this change, they don't want that. That's what scares them. So I'm not single in the sense that I can't get the women or whatever the case may be. The women that I can get, the women that I want, and the women that want me, they don't want to change because they don't have to. Because they can always go back and settle. Because for me, changing with me is a dangerous thing because it's like, what if their thing is, what if we don't work? Now you've changed my reality and I can't go back to the old me. Nigga, that's what life is about. You're never supposed to be able to go back to the old you. But one of the things that I do is This is where the leadership part comes in, because it's not just physical. Leadership should be mental, and leadership should be spiritual. Nobody wants to talk about that part, because again, it goes the difference between power and strength. As a man, when it comes to me and my spiritual practices, a lot of people be like, yo, you're not, that's true leadership, because I understand the religion that I was tapped into. So if I know that this religion is the reason why you can't grow, how much, okay, if you want a man who's going to lead, protect, and provide, if the women, that's what they say they want. And I know that this spiritual practice that you think you have is causing you detriment, and I don't lead you the right way, or I don't protect your feelings and your, like, how would that look? See, we only want to do this shit on the physical level, stand in front and be the motherfucking sentinel. But when I know that something is making you stupid, when I know that you're not thoroughly understanding something, it is on me. And when I say stupid, I'm being dramatic, but real. It is on me if I know the answer to clarify it for you. Now, if you choose to ignore the answer and chose to ignore the clarity, that's not on me. You feel what I'm saying? I know women right now who they're new to this shit, as far as, oh, I want to learn about spirituality and astrology and numerology and tarot and human design. I've already gone through it. They don't even realize that you're here because I can lead you. But because of the programming of what it is like, you're going to make me change. No, you're trying to change yourself. I'm just here to help you walk through the door because I've already done it. You feel what I'm saying? But it's what comes with it, because a lot of your spiritual beliefs, a lot of your mental beliefs, a lot of things are going to change. You feel what I'm saying? Case in point, I know a woman who is like, as we talk, this is, I don't know what episode I was saying this on, but it was like, or maybe it wasn't an episode, it was just a post that I made. There's a difference between wanting and willing, right? And we misunderstand what willing really is, because willing, we think is I'm what word do I want to use? I'm open for something to happen. No, willing means you're actively bringing it into reality. That's crazy. People don't even use the word will right anymore. You know, people are like, yo, I want $1 million. I will $1 million. There's different levels in that shit. But people will say, I'm willing to do this. I'm available to do this. I'm open to do this. No, willing to do this means that you are willing it into fruition. You've already bypassed the once. You have a plan, you have a goal and a vision. You're willing it. It's happening because you're willing it, right? So the conversation was, yeah, I want to homeschool my kids. I said, I will homeschool my kids. And I don't know, like, one up type shit, but it's like the things that you want to do, I will do. That's why you're here. So I can show you how to will do it, how to will it too. You see what I'm saying? That's one of the realities that a lot of people don't fathom when it comes to leadership. My goal in leadership is to change you from wanting something to willing something. Now it goes back into what I'm saying. If I'm supposed to lead you and protect and provide for you spiritually, and your spiritual system says that you have no will, everybody talks about, yeah, we got free will, but you have the will. You have free will to do the will of your deity and your deity alone. If you don't, you're going to be punished. So how free is that will if there's a consequence of punishment for not following the will? You see what I'm saying? What does that do to your mentality and your subconscious and your unconscious mind? When it's time to will something into existence, you can't. You can only want it. If as a man, I know that. If as the man you choosing to lead, I know that, and I'm trying to explain that to you, and it's conflicting with your reality, and you can't follow, you can't be led by that, because that's not something you can follow. You can't be led by that because of what you follow. There's always going to be that clash. I bypassed the point of wanting to do shit, and I will shit. It's crazy because it just so happened that a Satanist said it, but he said, do what thou will. Do what you will. While it says not, while you follow a doctrine that says not by my will, but by a deity's will. That's dangerous, especially when you understand that the religion that you follow is mythology. None of them things are real. They're mythology. or historical fiction at best. They fit within a certain area to make it seem as if this was real, but it wasn't real information. None of this stuff really happened. It's mythology. So now, when you take a mythological expression and you make it a realistic thing and you get stuck, you can't get mad at no one but yourself. But then if somebody comes and says, hey, this was wrong because of this, you feel me? So now when you're saying deity willing, you automatically remove your will from the situation. So all you can do is want shit. This is why you end up praying and begging and ask, like I say praying is begging, because you got look at what position they tell you to fall in to pray. Put your hands together and fall on your knees. Nigga, that's begging. If you saw a beggar in the streets do that to you, you'd keep walking. So what you think your deities are doing? If we're creating the image and likeness of our deities. You see what I'm saying? Leadership is not good or bad. Leadership promotes the benefit. So when I'm having these conversations with women who would say, I want to do this, I will do this. And it's like, well, what's the plan is already in motion. I know women right now. Most of the women that walk into my space right now, they want to homeschool their children. They want to retire from work. They don't want to keep going through their 9 to 5. They want to do that outside. So, but what will you do? It's always the same thing. I'm going to keep stacking paper and I'm going to stay there like, yo, what will you do? I know what you want, but what will you? I know what you want, but what do you will? I know it sounds grammatically incorrect because we don't use the word right. You feel what I'm saying? This language is fucking ridiculous to the stupid, but because we don't use the language, because we don't understand the language, we don't even use the words right sometimes. You feel me? Most times, actually. But it's like, I know what you want, but what do you will? What do you mean? See, that's the thing. I got to get you to understand what will is. Now, that conflict comes in because if I'm your leader, if you want me to lead you, if you want me to be the person who elucidates the best out of you, you have to understand where it is that I'm going with this. Every bit of information that I have, every bit of information that I express to people, every bit of information that I use in my day-to-day, I can go down a rabbit hole with it. And that's what scares them. Because now when it's time to really lead you, if you want me to lead you into a space where we can be together, where we can homeschool our children, where we can live off the land, here's what you will do. You don't have to necessarily do what I do, but you have to will something else into existence, because what you're wanting ain't gonna happen without you willing. How hard is that? How scary is that? How dangerous is that? I know it's dangerous. I know it's scary. You know why? Because it was hard for me to do it first. People think I just walked away from the religion and I just gave it up and I was angry and shit like that. This is why I can't go back. This is why, right here, why I can't go back, because I led myself into the religion. I led myself into the understanding of the religion. I led myself into the understanding of why the religion was given to me in the first place, which ties into why motherfuckers can't follow leadership. They can't take true leadership. You can only follow motherfuckers in power. You can't be led by people with strength. You see what I'm saying? I had conversations with people. People like, yo, why you always got to come back for everything? Why do I have a come back for everything? Because I've said the very things that you say. And there's another side to it that you don't know about. Case in point, I'm talking to a few people who are saying, yeah, even the devil, niggas love calling me a devil worshiper. I'm like, y'all don't get it. I gave up the religion. That means I don't fuck with none of the shit, bro. The gods or the devils, my nigga. Like, y'all missed the point. But because of the limitations of their individual spirit, in their individual mentalities, individual spiritualities, all they can see is one side. They live off of, if you're not with me, you're against me mentality. No, if I'm not with you, I don't fuck with nothing you involved with. The fuck? Like, why? Like, it's like when people, like when Empire and Power were having a run, motherfuckers like, yo, is it either Power or Empire? It's, for me, it was Power. Why, you got a problem with Empire? No, I just never watched it. The fuck? Like, I have no opinion about the shit. It's not that I'm angry or mad at it. It's just I watch Power. I don't watch Empire. It's that simple. But people make you pick a side. They make you pick a side instead of embracing a whole. You feel what I'm saying? And saying, hey, if you're not with me, so the point that I was making with that was, I was saying, even the devil know the word. I'm like, how you know you don't have the devil's rendition? What you mean? I know. No, nigga, tell me how you know you don't have the devil's rendition. As black people in America, as black people in across the diaspora, every religion that we have, we've gotten at the hands of slavery. Sit with that. Like, we know that the enslavements were the most atrocious enslavements known to man. You feel what I'm saying? Whether it be the transatlantic slave trade or the trans-Saharan or sub-Saharan slave trade. Sub-Saharan and trans-Saharan was fucking Islam, and transatlantic was Christianity. You feel what I'm saying? It don't matter which one was which. When we put those two things into context, we both got those religions in those atrocious moments. So you mean to tell me, you can consciously tell me that you didn't get the devil's rendition of that? Nah, because see, and then they go into justifying why they never studied the antithesis, or why the antithesis can't be, because we would have been savages. We would have been, imagine being called the savage as you're the one that's brutalized. See, the thing about leadership, it don't give a fuck about your feelings. It gives a fuck about your improvement and your betterment, your benefit. I don't give a fuck about how you feel. I don't give a fuck about how it's like, is this going to make you better? You see what I'm saying? Because now here we are, thousands of years later, not thousands, a couple hundred years later, we almost pushing 1,000, because the transatlantic slave trade was like 1,200 years ago, and then the transatlantic started 400 years ago. But either way, it was the same shit they did to black people. So when you tell me even the devil knows the word, how do you know you don't have the devil's rendition if we got this rendition during hellish conditions? It doesn't take a lot to figure that part out. But now imagine being a man and you being the leader. This is why it goes between strength and power. Because now a woman's going to say, give me the man who's in the religion, who's in this, that, and the third, who knows just the book, who has the power of the book. He's the deacon, he's the pastor, he's this, that, and the third. Now show me the man who's gained the strength of understanding the religion. Not the person who has the power from the book, but the person who has the strength from the religion, who's going to lead you. Now, this is where it comes in, where it gets scary. Feel me? Because after you give me the strength, what does it leave me with? I tell women all the time, whatever I'm going to bring you into, you have to know how to do. Because if I die, what you going to do? The purpose of a true leader is to be able to make people sufficiently stand in their absence. I get what you want out of life. I want a man who's going to do this. I want a man who's going to do this. But what have you willed? Because in order to will something means that you have to do something within yourself to make sure that the will comes true. So again, when I say women they're not naturally submissive, they have to be unleashed. But then when you tell women, the man got to find you and shit, he will. He will. But have you willed to find him? No? Oh, you're going to get the version that he wants you to have. You're going to get the limitation that you got to depend on, not the one that you find dependable. You dig what I'm saying? And as men, we have to use that too. Because now I use the extreme for the religion and shit like that, because now I have to ask my brothers and shit, can you really call yourself a leader? Have you really have you broken down the antithesis of life for yourself first? You see what I'm saying? Do you fully walk in balance and you can manipulate benefit to your favor? Now, I ain't gonna say it manipulate, because that's a negative word. You can induce benefit in your favor. That's what it means to be a leader, because you got to go within leading yourself. Do you understand the spiritual practice that you have, or do you follow from the womb that you came out of, or the womb that you're trying to get into? Yeah, I've only been talking about this the whole time. You feel me? Because everybody wants leaders, but nobody wants leadership. They want motherfuckers in the front. They don't want all levels, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual aspect of leadership. Nobody wants to develop this physical. A lot of it is derived from what you will. It's not what you want. You feel what I'm saying? In So Frail 1, I talked about the difference between alphas, betas, and epsilons. The reason why I used that was because motherfuckers is, we're alpha men, we're this, that, and the third. You can't call yourself an alpha man until you know how to will shit into existence. I get it. You want to be an alpha. But will you? Because what does it mean? What does it mean to be that alpha person? And so for when I was talking about it, like you transition from like you're a producer, period. If you're in that space, you're 100% producer. To be a producer means that you have to understand and digest properly what you consume. So many of us want shit. And this is why we end up looking up to people instead of looking at people. As a man, if you can't call yourself a leader if you can't look up to yourself. Because that's who you got to look up to first. I happen to be fortunate enough to be raised and this is a part of the plan. I talked about this in the 300 episode. This is a part of my plan. I happen to be fortunate enough to be raised without a father and a mother who had to work all the time. I had to become my parent on both sides. You feel me? And I could have been a person who says, I want this. No, I will have this. I will. I will understand what it takes to be a real man. I will understand what it takes for whatever I was supposed to get out of, the relationships with women. I will understand these things. And I spent with myself leading myself into that. It's not hard. I left down the blueprint of how to lead, how to develop the leadership within yourself through the tree of life. And so for a 3. Why they don't teach you that? Why doesn't your spiritual system teach you that? How to lead, how to become a leader within yourself, how to develop the leader within yourself? No, they teach you how to be a follower of a nigga who can't even lead right. You feel me? I never forget. I was doing a speaking engagement, and one of the guys that was there, he was a pastor. I stand on my business. I stand on what I say. I don't give a fuck who it is. Like, I can't bite my tongue and shy away from it because you don't understand what I understand. Your inability to understand what I don't, your inability to comprehend what I understand does not make me wrong. I don't give a fuck about how bad it makes you feel. Your inability to understand it does not make me wrong. You feel what I'm saying? Your feelings behind it doesn't make me wrong. So the question was about religion. They're like, how do you think religion affects masculinity? You think it don't? You think it don't? I've never met a religious masculine man. By definition of what masculinity is, the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment, the essence of analysis and deconstruction. I've never met a religious man who was equally masculine. Manly, maybe. He can push, he look big. He looks physically like that's a man. But I've never met one who embodied masculinity. Only manliness. And even now they're getting softer. You got they wearing skinny jeans and shit like that. It's different. It's different. I've never met a masculine religious man. And this is not only just from the perspective of never meeting, but actually being a religious man who was emasculated. You feel what I'm saying? So when they asked me the question about religion, it wasn't I'm going to bite my tongue. I'm going to play. No, I'm going to stand on business and say what the fuck I say. Because I said, and I ended with, so as a man, how are you going to say it? Like, how do you, because when you look at religion, when a man is confused or whatever the case may be, he got to go to his deacon or his pastor. It's like, how can you ask a man for permission on how to solve your problems? They're yours. I never understood that. I can never get it. They're my problems. Why am I asking my pastor what I should do? The fuck? You ain't my daddy, nigga? The fuck? And if you are playing daddy, that means I am playing son. The fuck? Shit weird. Shit was weird to me. So in me expressing it and shit, I'm talking about, the religion. I'm like, yeah, because there's no masculinity in religion because this and third. Nigga got mad talking about, well, I believe in Jesus. I don't give a fuck. He try to say, well, my cousin, I have a brother, he's a hotep. And then this is why I'm saying this, because when you have power, you have to exert it. When you have strength, it's felt. It's felt and it's understood. You see what I'm saying? People want to be led by my strength. They don't want to follow my power. I've learned this a long time ago. I'm learning this and developing it and maturing into it now. But I knew this a long time ago. People are led by my strength. They don't follow my power. So he wanted people to follow his power while he's saying, yeah, because I believe in Jesus, this, that, and the third. And women, and yeah, amen, this, that, third. But my strength was followed and it was understood. When I broke down, everybody was like, damn, that does make sense. Like, how in the fuck do you have to ask permission? And the pastor was there. And it was a pastor who defended me against the Hotep comment. So as the bull is like, yeah, my cousin's a Hotep. Dude said, yeah, Hotep means peace. Don't try to throw shade at this brother. And as the conversation ended, as the event ended, I'm talking to the pastor. He's like, this was his words. He's like, um, brother, you, man. He said, because even as a pastor myself, man, I struggle. He said, sometimes I want to have my Hennessy. Sometimes because you have not led yourself yet, my man. I didn't tell him that. And I didn't even formulate that this time because I was like 28 years old when I had this conversation. But he's like, yeah, man, because sometimes I have my struggle with my Hennessy. I want to do this, and I'm like, but you're the pastor. You should be at the level where this doesn't even bother you. You see what I'm saying? But you have to, because you have this power of this status, it's hard to develop the strength within yourself. And I'm not saying that to shit on him. I'm just tying it into the conversation of leadership. Because as a pastor, you're the fucking leader. You feel what I'm saying? So he tells me, and like this is the part where I was making his word. He said, man, I can't wait to see what you do in the next 10 years. Here I am 5 years since he said that. Man, it's crazy how it was like certain situations transcend reality, transcend time, they transcend concepts, they transcend titles, all of that shit. Because strength is strength. And when you a real leader, you a real leader. It don't matter. You feel what I'm saying? When I left that event, when I left that moment, everybody that's the thing about true leadership is that when you got it, the only thing people can refute is how it made them feel. And if as a person, how I made you feel is the problem, you're not willing to grow, which means you can't be led, which now ties it all back into the point of the relationships and shit too. See, when we're trying to develop our leadership as men, they teach us to do it through a lens of how we feel, not what we know, not what we think. You feel me? A true thought is a balance between what you feel and what you know. That's a true thought. You feel me? If we shutting down our faculty for feeling and we only trying to think and we're only trying to know shit, this is how you get condescending. And this is how you don't know this is how you don't know how to say what you say. And you don't give a fuck about how you say what you say. But that's not a true leader. That's not a true leader. I know. I say all the time, I'm not a leader of the community because I'm not. Do not put me in that motherfucking title. But I'm a motherfucker who's led people. I'm a motherfucker who leads people. You feel what I'm saying? Because I will. So tying it back in, because I kind of jumped around and I did skip this point. So the young lady that I was speaking on, telling me all the things that she wanted to do. I want a man with a library. I want a man who reads a lot of books. I want this, that, and the third. But will you? Will you have that man? Will you earn that man? Will you get that type of man? This is one of the things that we have to understand when it comes to leadership. Your goal in being a leader or whatever is to get people to use their will. Most humans, most people walking this earth right now will never use their will because they don't own it. And they don't believe they own it. They've given it up the moment someone told them they no longer had their own will. And they didn't realize that. This isn't a blasphemous thing. This isn't a whatever it is that you're going to try to call this. Your deity created you in its image and likeness. You have all the free reign to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Just be willing to deal with the consequences. Because the consequences are always hell, we lose our will because we think everything is going to send us to hell. We have no will. We just have wants. This is why we end up praying and begging for shit. I meant what I said when I said praying is begging. So when they say prayer works, it don't. Why would, as a deity, I created you in my image and likeness, and I see you falling on your knees asking me for shit? Why would I give it to you? Just sometimes you just got to be logical about it. I know a lot of people say, well, I prayed for this and I got it. After you prayed, did you not? Like, you didn't get it because you prayed. You did it because you did the work. Now, because of the illusion of what it is, you don't even attribute yourself to doing the work. You think something possessed you or something gave you the drive to do the shit. You think that you didn't have the will to do it. So you attribute it to the fact that you prayed, not the fact that you studied. Like when I graduated, from undergrad or whatever the case may be, I didn't feel thank God I wouldn't have done nothing. Like, no, I didn't. Like, there was not a feeling of that. I was heavily religious then, but I didn't have the feeling of, I have to thank this deity because I would not have done any of this without you. Yet I was doing all of this. Like, what do you think will is? Because it's like, I wasn't going to church. I was reading my Bible every day and everything, but I was also studying. I was also breaking these things down. I was also going to the library, reading these books. Like, there was like, that was the will. I didn't just, I didn't just, I didn't just go and then just do nothing and say, this is what I want. I use my will. You see what I mean? That's a foundational piece of leadership. You have to learn how to use your will. A lot of people don't know how to use their will. All they know how to use is their ability to want things. And this is why you end up doing hoe shit. This is why you end up doing sucker shit, because you have no will. When you always want something and you don't will anything, when you always want something, it's easy to take. It's easy to steal. It's easy to manipulate to have. But when you will something into existence, if you've ever willed something into existence, you know what it is that I'm talking about, in which that I have no desire to want anything else. Everything that I have is willed and earned. Like, see, that's the thing about earning shit. We be thinking that I'm getting something. We live in such a reward-based society that we don't know how to will things into existence anymore. Because if you behave a certain way, then you should get something. And then they tell you the real world doesn't work like that when you're a kid and shit. And then you get to a kid and you feel entitled. You grow up and you feel entitled because you have no will. You only have once. And because you only have once, you give up your will to compensate you for those wants. As opposed to saying, I will have this to do whatever I want to do. Tying it off the business model episode, and this is still tying to leadership. I'm going to try to stay into it. But tying it off the business model episode, when I was building that, so many people around me were saying, this is taking too long. You should be this, then the third, this, then the third. I was like, I will. When I was a kid, my mom, my brother, my sister, they used to always tell me how annoyed they were when I say this. They'll ask me to do something. I'm like, I will. And they're like, you wouldn't move when you said it, because I will. When my will says do it, I'll do it. Like, I didn't realize what it was. Going back to the 300th episode, I was never bound by this world. Once I crossed over and I came back, it was, okay, I understood what it was. So it was never an illusion for me. You see what I'm saying? I was fortunate enough not to have the imagination that would give me the illusion before the illusion was put on me. You feel what I'm saying? So when it came to life, I never looked at life as, this is what I want. So with all of the times, like, I'm building a business model to will this thing into existence, because I said, I will homeschool my children. I will live off the land and be able to grow my own vegetables and stuff, like grow my own vegetables, fruit, and you know what I'm saying, get off grid and have my own shit. Like, I will do these things. And I did them. And so now it's like, well, everybody's still trying to base it off of reality of you can want this, but like, they want me to bind myself to their wants when I've already achieved my will. And that's one of the things about crabs in a barrel. That's one of the things about so many different realities to life. People get envious when they want what you willed, but they don't know that it's will that they want. You feel what I'm saying? When it comes to a true leader, your goal is to turn somebody's wants into wills, into bringing out what they will and showing them that this is what you will. And it gets dark because so many people have already been pre-programmed. Why do you think everybody's pre-programmed to be against your own will? When I tell people about the do without will thing, they're like, oh, that's Satanism. Okay, I mean, yeah, a Satanist said the shit, but I don't fuck with any of that shit at all. But that is a true sentiment. Do you do what you want, or do you do what you will? YOLO. YOLO. You only die once too, stupid. The fuck? But when it comes to that, as a leader, your goal is to invigorate the will of people. This is why, and I mentioned this in Soul 3, and I'm going to try to wrap up with this. This is why J. Edgar Hoover said we fear the rise of a black messiah who can stir the black militant. It's not even that. It's deeper than that. You get somebody to use their will when we've taken their will away from them. People don't realize what slavery did to us. Slavery broke our will. It broke our spirit. It took our will and told us what our will was. And to this day, they don't want us to understand what our will is, because when we understand our will, the rest of the shit falls. Because you no longer ask for shit. You no longer have to ask for shit, and you know the power of your own will. And you will shit into existence. Yes, they manipulate our will with the music industry and the television, all of that shit. But they understand that if a true leader ever emerges, that true leader will elicit the will within the people. They've seen the glimpses of it with Huey Newton. They've seen the glimpses of it with Malcolm X. The people started being self-sufficient when they was led the right way. And that is because that's the true power in the dynamic of leadership. When you truly have leadership, you can elicit the will out of people and you break them from always wanting shit. And don't forget to check out Cafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Cafe Clothing. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. I feel like that was all over the place, but on playback maybe it'll be good. But that's leadership, bro. If you really want to be a leader, you have to bring the will out of people, and even deeper than that, you have to bring the will out of yourself. When people tell me shit like, yo, you got 300 episodes. Yeah, I will. Like, that's it. Like, I willed it. Like, I willed 300 episodes in. I could have quit a long time ago, but I didn't want to do a podcast. I willed a podcast. That's why I keep it up. You feel me? I didn't want to write books. I willed these books. You feel me? I didn't want to create courses. I will create courses. And I did. Now, the sad part about it is that what comes with will is what builds your leadership skills. They go hand in hand. As you're developing your leadership skills, your will gets stronger. You ever heard, like, somehow we only talk about the will to win. We don't really know what it really means. When people look at Kobe Bryant, when people look at the athletes that like, yo, you have the will to win. What does that mean? That means I'm putting in all of the necessary work to beat out everybody who loses and to beat out everybody who wins. That's the will to win. Some people just want to win, and that's why they lose. But people with the will to win will win. I talk about this in the Tree of Life and So Frail, and in the Tree of Life section during the what is it? I want to say it's the Netsack sphere. But either way, you learn how to either be a victor or a victim, and it comes from your will. People be thinking victim is woe is me. It ain't always woe is me. It ain't always dark. It's always wanting shit and willing nothing. Victims want everything, but will nothing. I mean, as far as the victim mentality, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about, because I don't know why y'all always do this shit. Like, you're like, well, what about a rape victim? No, nigga, like, don't take it there every time. The fuck? That's stupid. But anyway, victims are the people who want shit. The victors are the people who will. I want $1 million. I will $1 million. Notice, like, when you start learning how to speak a certain way and speak the right way, the way the words is meant, like, you learn how to activate certain shit the right way. You feel me? Women, because we could wrap it up now, we could bring them back in if they listen. Women will say, I want a good body. So they go get a BBL. But then you had the other women who say, I will a good body. Not I will have. I will a good body, and they go to the gym every day, no matter what. Whether they tired, whether they sick, whatever. It's like I gotta go. I'm going to the gym. You know what I'm saying? But then the other one's just like, no, I just want it. I don't will it. I want it. You feel what I'm saying? Tying it all back in. How do you lead that? You can only lead somebody who wills, because you know what they will do. You can't lead anybody who just wants, because you don't know what they want. Crazy shit. The average woman don't know what she wants. So much so you can ask her, what you want to eat. I don't know. You start running down what you want. Well, I had that before. I don't really want that. I don't really want that. You decide. Now, when you decide, it's, this ain't what I want. When you want so much, you want nothing. When you will, you will. You feel me? Because when you want so much, it gives you the opposite. When you will, it gives you the exact. So when you will everything, you will everything. You have everything. When you will nothing, you get nothing. You see me? But when you want everything, you get nothing. When you want nothing, I know sometimes you get everything. But yeah, that doesn't always translate to a good thing, because that means you have no standards, you have no boundaries, you have no barriers. So now when we're coming into as men trying to lead women who only want shit. These women want to be married. They want weddings. They don't want to be married. They don't will marriage. They want weddings. They don't will marriage. You feel me? The fuck you gonna do with that? Because now when the shit of the wedding fades out, she's got a ring, she's got a this, that, and the third. That's when the work starts. But will she do it? No. You know why? Because she just wanted the wedding. She wanted to be married. I see it all the time on social media. The women be like, oh, I'm ready to say my husband this, my husband that. But will you do what's necessary to have a husband? Or do you just want one? Nigga, y'all got to start paying attention to the words being spoken. Because the thing about our fluidity in words is that once the conversation flows and people are saying that and they're creating their content and they're giving their artistic expression, they're expressing the science with they're creatively expressing what they know. You feel me? They're telling you all day long, this is what I want. But will they? I know it keeps looking like a cliffhanger because you're not used to hearing it like that. They want the wedding, but will they marry? Will they be a wife? You feel what I mean? See, the thing about that is like, and this is where we get into the pick-me's and all this other bullshit, because people say, I'll start doing it after I get it. That's why people aren't successful in life, because they don't have the will to do it. Your will means that when people say you got to look the part, they play that like it's people who wants and you dress a certain. No. You have to will the shit, which means you have to already be embodying it for you to have it. You feel what I'm saying? When I said I'm going to homeschool my children, I'm going to be able to take care of my kids all the time. When I'm going to be in a position where when my woman says I'm pregnant, okay, cool, put your feet up. I'm not panicking and stressing and shit. I said I will have this in my life. I willed it. I didn't give a fuck what, like, people say that your why is usually enough to keep you going, but it's not. Your will is. Your will must be attached to your why. Why does this need to be done? And then it will be done. You see what I'm saying? One of the coldest metaphors of the mythology in the Bible is on earth as it is in heaven, thy will be done. Because people don't understand that it's in the mind and in the world, it will be done. As I think, I act according to the will, because the soul is the will. The soul wills the mind to think. The mind thinks according to how the body acts. The continual action of the body strengthens the will. That's the synergy. Life ain't hard. A true leader keeps that synergy in motion. First within self, then within others. You feel what I'm saying? I teach you how to tap into your will to give you the right thoughts to create the right actions that continually strengthen the will. You know how you can continually do something that I'm getting better at this because you're continually doing it. Some people repeat a certain process and don't progress with the process because there's no will behind it. There's a desire for the reward. And if I don't get the reward fast enough, I'll give up. But when I have the will to complete the action, I create the synergy that doesn't require reward and it just gets better. It's just a matter of time. Kobe said this example, and I'm going to try to say this and wrap it up. He was saying he worked out. He said, when you work out, he said, if you wake up 2 hours early and you get 2 more workouts in, he said, you can end up getting 3 workouts in for a day as opposed to the person who's getting 1 workout a day. He said, yeah, it seems like it's a lot, but when you add that to 10 years, if I'm working on 3 days to your one over the 10 years, the gap is it's not even going to be close. It's not even going to be close. You feel what I'm saying? Where I am right now, this is me as a person, but where I am right now, as far as the things that I've attributed to life, and the things the gap isn't even close for most of the people that are thinking that we're in the same league. I'm not even, I let them rock because true leadership develops a level of modesty, but the level of modesty comes from continually strengthening your will. And your will comes from repetitive action. Your action comes from wise, right, and exact thoughts, which are triggered by the will that you develop and put in. I don't think negatively. I don't think things aren't going to happen. Therefore, I don't will negative things into existence. Therefore, my actions are always aligned with what my will is. And the synergy's been running for so long. And I even mentioned this whole process in So Frail 2 or 3 or 1. All of them, they all bridge together in a synergistic way. But one of the things, like I said, that I've put my emphasis on and I put my stamp on is knowing that when it's all said and done, like, for example, I remember I had a cousin who, when I was doing when I first launched my merch line or whatever the case may be, it was, he started making shirts. Okay. You want the money from a shirt. I'm willing a brand into existence. It's going to be different, but okay. He no longer makes the shirts. Justine's merch has evolved into Paula Cafe clothing, and I've understood the branding, the marketing, and the advertising side of it. These skills transcend reality. You see what I'm saying? So it's not even close. And it's not in a shot to disrespect him or say anything crazy about him or anything like that. But our position in life is not even close. You feel me? When I first wrote So Frail 1, I've had people say, oh, I'm ready to write my book. I want to do this and the third. And you want to write a book. I will the book into reality. There's difference. This is why I'm on my fourth one. Well, I ain't on my fourth one. I finished my fourth one. I don't have another book to write. I might write some more. But now I'm in a space where, that's the easy thing. Now, when people ask me, how do you stay motivated? I don't have to stay motivated when I have will. And that's because of my leadership skills. But I had to first learn how to develop the leader within me. And it all comes back to your will. When you don't believe you own your will, when you don't believe your will belongs to you, you'll never have willpower. And if you never have willpower, you'll never develop leadership skills. You'll be a follower for all your life. You'll be a follower for all your life. Don't believe me? Look at all the motherfuckers who you know who to look at? They're followers. They only do what they're told. They only know what they're told. You feel what I'm saying? I don't need motivation when I have will. People be like, yo, how do you stay consistent with this? How do you keep building this? What motivate? I don't need motivation. Cause that's an energy. That's a feeling. That's something I got to turn on and off. I can't turn my will on and off. It is. And I continually will shit into existence. When I know that this is why I have to, it leads me. When my will kicks in, it leads me to the necessary things to learn to keep the thoughts and the actions in motion. You feel me? I wanted to be in a space where it's like, yo, throw some money at some motherfucking ads, record a podcast, make some music. That's it. People be looking at it like, oh, that's like, no, I put in so much motherfucking work to be able to do this. I had to create courses. I had to write books. I had to go through, like, I willed this, but I tapped into my leadership. Leadership is not something you either have or don't. You can be born a leader, but all that it means is that you're born with your willpower intact. And so much so your willpower is not your will is not threatened by other people. So you're willing to help people tap into their will as well. You got an ego issue when you don't want anybody else to expose to develop their will because it makes sure smaller, or it said like you got issues with that. You got to develop your own leadership skills. But developing your leadership, it teaches you how to balance yourself. When you remain balanced, people be thinking balance is everything is equal. No, you are actively contributing to the ebb and flow of your strengths and weaknesses, your detriments and your benefits. You're actively contributing to the ebb and flow and mastering them to a point where they come into to a refined place. This is going to lead into the next episode that we're about to drop on the singularity, duality, and divinity. If I remember to record that one next. I shouldn't have said that shit because it might not be next when I get to Phil's on the next recording. But that's how will is developed. When you create that synergy to where there's not a differentiation between your strengths and your weaknesses. It's like, these are attributes about me. And I now know how to use them. Go figure. When my strengths are too strong, I can weaken them. When my weaknesses are too weak, I can strengthen them. But neither one of them are good or bad in my reality anymore. They're aspects of myself that I now know how to develop. And I have the will to continue to develop them over time because that's what it is. And the will gives me the thoughts, and the thoughts give me the necessary actions to keep it going. This is why motherfuckers listen to me. Because you're not following my power. You're being led by my strength because of what my strength is drawing out of you. And as a man, when you develop your relationship, your family, this is what they're banking on from you. Your ability to do this. You feel me? It's not about making your kids and your wife and everything follow and submit to your will. It's about using your will to lead them with your strength and draw the strength out of themselves. You feel me? And then you translate that to your community, translate that to your nation, you translate that to however you're going to translate it, if you choose to translate it. But it starts within. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead nobody else. And if you ain't got no will within, you're not going to be a leader. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And our kids are born with their wills intact. Like, people be thinking babies have no fear. No, they have all will. It's not that they have no fear. They have all will. That's it. Change your perspective of that from this point going forward. People aren't fearless. They're willful. The opposite of being fearless, the opposite of fear is will. Think about it. And our children come into this world with their will fully intact. It is when we start imposing our will on them because of the fears that we have. Telling them what they can't do. And this is why kids don't know the difference between can't as an ability and can't as a permission. Because all they hear is the ability. So their will starts to diminish. Stop diminishing your baby's will. Please. Yes, you have to be the guide. Make sure they don't break their neck when they jump off a swing or some shit like that. But find out why their will doesn't allow them to find the binds and the limitations of what they have. Because your structure, your leadership, is to help them refine their will in a healthy way to where there's a common balance between the detriment and the benefit, the strengths and the weaknesses of who they are. You feel me? The goal in life is to make sure you never lose your will. And we be like, oh, it's my inner child. What the fuck you think your inner child is? That's why your inner child has no limitation. That's why your inner child ends up doing dumb shit sometimes because it's rebelling. Your will is rebelling against the programming that is keeping you inactive. Don't let that happen to your babies. Don't let that happen to your babies. We live in a culture where our people, as soon as a baby, get down, this, that, and it's like, damn, bro, my will told me to do this. Stop giving me shit and stop putting me around shit that you want to keep. Like, I'm a kid, bro. I'm a kid. You feel what I'm saying? Show me how to use my will. Because if you don't show me how to use my will, you're going to show me how to invoke my fear. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.